Adam, come on back. Good to see you.
Same.
So, it's funny, we were talking about micro dramas. I've lately been infatuated with the Darman morality plays.
Right.
These 72 episode little things about, people being unfairly treated. So I can definitely see where the appeal is.
Well, for me, when it comes to episodic, it's, I approach everything from, a lot of time from a financial perspective.
Uh-huh.
So episodic, long watch time, it does really, really well financially, and a lot of stuff that we work on, or if we have a growth strategy, we kind of focus on that type of approach.
Right. Well, earlier you told us what Ox Mode was about. Give me a 30-second summary about it.
I'd say most of our clients come to us when they want revenue reporting from multiple platforms and a growth strategy for whatever content library they have.
Okay. So you're the perfect person to talk to about, our first question really is, how can established content creators optimize their YouTube presence to drive both revenue and reach?
So from revenue and reach, how to optimize. A growth strategy, some simple tips I can tell you. October, November, and December are your highest revenue months the whole year. It's advertising, it's AVOD. This is, probably 25% more per month that you'll get off these next 3 months. When optimizing content, you need to have a release schedule. You use all platforms to funnel in, especially YouTube Shorts or TikTok. Funnel people to long-form content. And a great trick, if you're not doing this, here's a good tip. Point people to a playlist, not to an individual video, because a playlist, when it finishes, rolls to the next video in a playlist, which creates higher watch time. But when you watch one video on YouTube, YouTube's algorithm gives you what's called suggestive search results based on your previous watching pattern, which will take you off your YouTube channel, which is not really good for you. It's good for the platform. The platform and you have two different business models. Don't get fooled by YouTube telling you to do something. It's good for them, not necessarily for you. It's best practices and always follow it, but you gotta be selfish on a platform where there's 700 hours a minute being uploaded. So focus on optimizing to get people to watch on your channel. Be greedy is what I always say.
And what are some tips?
That's a good tip right there. And then you can also embed your videos on your own YouTube, on your own website. You can also share the links on FB, IG, or Facebook, Instagram, all these other social media platforms that you're not monetizing on, you can point people to YouTube so you can increase your monetization there. And part of the game is to get people to subscribe to you, because subscribers have a higher watch time. So you gotta maybe offer them something, a reason to subscribe, meaning you have a Halloween movie launching October 31st, or a Thanksgiving rom-com, or for the 12 days of Christmas, you're releasing 12 videos in a row. And then you can notify them once they subscribe through, YouTube notifications. They get an email saying, all of a sudden, Ox Mode released a new TV show or sporting event or concert or whatever it is.
And how important is managing expectations? Because I think you get a lot of creators who think, they're going to go from 1 to 100,000 overnight.
Most of our new customers are existing customers. We hardly take somebody who's brand new to YouTube who wants to start from fresh.
Right.
That's extremely difficult. I'll probably give them a half an hour and tell them everything to do and call me once you reach certain thresholds, because it's really difficult to get through the noise and be found on YouTube. That is your hardest problem. So to manage expectations, not that I have a reputation, my staff might think so, my team might think so. I say no a lot because it's extremely difficult. And if YouTube is your main source of income, or Facebook or IG or TikTok, that's a tough road. And it's probably the younger generation who's living at home, it's probably the best bet to give it a go. We normally work with people who have existing content libraries, who have existing YouTube teams, if they're traditional content creators. We very rarely come out of the gates with somebody who's brand new. I don't actually remember the last time we did that, to be honest.
And what numbers are considered good?
Numbers like views or subscribers or revenue or all three?
All three.
views don't necessarily equal, views are for ego, watch times for revenue. I use that line all the time.
Okay.
So you can get 1 billion views and tell me about it, and I'll be like, well, were you able to buy coffee? Could you purchase a dinner with that amount of views? And watch time equals revenue. Like the longer somebody watches a video, the higher the CPM, the more money they make per view. So sometimes we get channels that do $100,000 a month, $1 million a month, and sometimes we get channels that do $700, $800 a month. And a lot of our customers, this is just extra income. This isn't, they don't have a content library built for YouTube. They actually decided to go on YouTube to see if there was any money, and all of a sudden it turned into a business.
So what kind of customers then do you deal with? They have, if YouTube is a secondary outlet for them, what is their primary outlet?
Linear or other means, traditional broadcast or theatrical. We have all sorts of customers from kids to rom-coms to faith-based or spiritual to horror movies, all agnostic from genre perspective. But the one thing they have in common, especially some of the older customers that have been with us for 10 years, they took a gamble on a streaming platform that ended up being a really good revenue source, reoccurring revenue. And it's not just YouTube, it's Prime and FB. And we tried all the platforms from Tubi, Roku, Pluto, but we've just been noticing overall the bigger ones are getting bigger and the smaller ones happen to be going, especially in the last year and a half, happen to be coming down a bit.
It's consolidation because people like to have a destination.
Exactly. I was going to say that on the panel before here. What we've been seeing, so much M&A, especially this summer. We saw some very large ones, and I do not see that slowing down. We do a lot of auditing for P&E firms on existing channels or platforms, and I know I'm probably one of many companies that does this, but we've been pretty busy with that type of work.
And do you have content creators who are only on YouTube or primarily on YouTube and looking to break out?
Yeah, so originally that's how we started, working with those creators, and they've had opportunities to do stuff on MTV and other things, and they have broken out. But I've actually been noticed they don't want that. If you go to a YouTube conference, there's a bit of anxiety around that because you lose. It's kind of like something they were saying on the other panel. You lose a little bit of the authentic part of how you started when you start building for a broadcaster or something else. And I've noticed it. I know other people have noticed this, and they talk about this kind of stuff at some other conferences where there's a little anxiety going on because now you have like 8 people kind of helping you or maybe detracting from what your vision is. So we've also noticed a contraction in that, where not that you become friends with some of the people you work with over the years, and they're like, we don't want this. And I'm like, well, it's a great brand integration. They're like, because I have no control. And the one thing about YouTube and some of these platforms for some of these content creators is you have full autonomy to do whatever you want. There's something to be said about that authentic approach to creating content.
Right, and also the fact that YouTube is the biggest streaming platform, around, even bigger than Netflix and Disney. And
combined, it's bigger. So
yeah.
I mean, so we've seen a lot of that in the last year where I'm not saying brand deals. I actually think brand deals are going to increase, not decrease, when it comes to content creators. But I definitely see a bit of contraction in some of these creators wanting to be on linear, because that was a huge, huge thing a couple of years ago. Everybody wanted a TV show.
Right.
And then a couple of them got it, and then word got out how stressful it was. And me personally, I received calls on my cell phone, and I was like, if you're stressed out about this, don't do it.
Right.
Like, I'm not your manager, but I wouldn't do it if I was stressed out about it. So then kind of word gets out, and everybody kind of stops. And even though it comes down to money and a lot of stuff that has to do with that type of business, but I would say definitely it's contracted in the last year.
Are there any opportunities that maybe some of the top content creators on YouTube are either missing out on or have underutilized?
I think collaborations is the best thing. When it comes to like YouTube, I love collabs. It's kind of fun. when you see interesting people on Dude Perfect who not necessarily are into sports, or you see music collaborations, or you see actual slow-mo guys or stuff like that, collabs. But actually collabs in TV and film and traditional content creators, it's a great move. We actually pitch that a lot. I actually think the ROI on not doing ads but doing influencer deals is way higher, because the video they create lives on, as opposed to doing just a straight ad buy on Meta or Alphabet or Prime. Actually, and it's good for the brand, but you have to be wary. I wouldn't put everything in one basket with 1 million subscribers. I do 10 people with 100,000 subs each.
And why is that?
Sometimes these creators do things that is disingenuous, and sometimes they get in hot water, and it's not always good to be in that hot water with them, especially if you're running like a TV show or theatrical release. Right. So spread it out. And a lot of these people work with agencies now, so they know better, but there's still a chance that can be a hiccup for you and your company.
Yeah, could you give us some examples of collaborations that have been very successful, and then maybe some, I don't know if you want to mention them, that haven't quite turned out as well as you hoped they would?
Well, the successful ones are, Dude Perfect doing a bunch of things with the NBA and shooting baskets from the top of stadiums or the tallest buildings in North America. I mean, that's really good. Or they're playing Nerf gun games, which is excellent. It's great brand recognition. I mean, Mr. Beast has done 100 of these, which is great. And the unsuccessful ones, there's more unsuccessful than successful, and it's littered with that. And that's why I work through a lot of agencies. Mm-hmm. So we always go with the agencies, don't go direct. The agencies do all the negotiations, do all the storyboarding, make sure it's a clean deal. I'm more of a fan that way. When it comes to TV and film, use these social media influencers to promote your horror movie coming up. I mean, they have 1 million subscribers, and it's not as expensive as you think. So I'm always pushing that narrative, because taking out an ad campaign on these platforms is extremely expensive. It's not cheap. Right.
Yeah, we heard that at NatP Budapest. The European head of YouTube he had a whole presentation basically about, hey, forget about YouTube as a content creator platform. It can also be a great platform for other brands to promote their movies or their streaming shows and things like that.
Yeah, the rates are to do brand integration and content integration through influencers. It's such a way better ROI for you.
Uh-huh. How important is rights management, and is there a correct way to do it and an incorrect way to do it?
A lot of people talk about the incorrect way. There's actually a growth strategy on letting theft happen. So you got to think about the advantage of, say you're a musician, nobody's ever heard your song, you let 1 million people steal it. Where else in the world are you going to get that much free, audio downloads or listens? But then maybe when you hit a certain threshold, you enable the protection part of that, where you shut them all off and you point them to the official upload of that audio track. Now that's a pretty good strategy. Is that incorrect, or is that using the system to your advantage? I definitely think the latter, and we do growth strategies like that where we actually let things go out and be stolen, or according to the platform, it's called misuse, but it's theft. And then the opposite end of that is if you have a release everybody knows about you're season 8, episode 1, or theatrical release 10, I don't know, where you need to geofence it. And you need to geoblock where you've previously sold in Germany or Finland or Canada, and then do your release, and you do a ton of trailers, director's cuts, use all the people within the video or within the asset to promote it. But there are 2 ways to do content protection, and shutting it all down is not necessarily the wisest move to do. In my opinion, there's a strategy for both sides of that equation.
And when you, in terms of the theft angle, I thought was very, very interesting. How do you figure out when is, how much is enough, and then you got to stop it?
I often use, revenue to kind of monitor that. So if you see people, with short form and it's stolen 1 billion times, there's not really a lot of revenue there. But as the watch time increases, if it's episodic or if it's audio and they're listening to the full track, then pick a number where you believe that it's going to jump again. Maybe it's 1 million downloads, or maybe it's 10 million, and then you flip the switch. But while that's happening, you upload it yourself, your Publix, and when you flip the switch, the algorithm will automatically send those users to you. It happens automatic. It's a great way to take advantage of algorithms.
Okay, great. Well, speaking about flipping the switch, I just got the switch from Jose. Thank you very much.
Thank you.